This is an Unsolicited Perspectives YouTube exclusive.
Jay, one of my friends told me that they were watching the Diddy documentary on HBO Max. And I was like, oh, I didn't know there was a Diddy documentary on HBO Max. And they were like, yeah, I'm watching it, and it's really disturbing, everything that he's like responsible for. And so I watched it, and I have to be honest, like, we know the disturbing nature of some of the things that he's done. This documentary doesn't really give new information. We know that he deserves to be in jail, should be underneath the jail just for what he did to Cassie. It did say that there were some other people that told their story. One young lady talked about her story of being sexually assaulted by Diddy, that she was dating a guy that worked for Diddy. Diddy like may have spiked her drink and forcibly essayed her. But a lot of the information wasn't new.
Yeah.
As I'm watching it, because of the source who introduced me to it, and I think this person is a good person, but I think they have a blind eye when it comes to race in this country. So as I'm watching it, and I'm thinking about the source of who introduced it to me, I almost find myself in a weird way kind of hoping that he succeeds, only kind of similar to how Black folks were rocking with OJ Simpson, right? Like, even though we know that I still don't believe that he personally did it by himself. I don't think he could have. It had to have been another person. He's definitely responsible. There's no doubt in my mind he's responsible. But we celebrated when he got off because our connection to Black culture and the fact that oftentimes Black people that were innocent have been persecuted, that we have this connection of sticking up for each other. And then as I'm watching it, I found myself being pulled towards that, but also I'm pushing away from that because of the horrible things that he did. And it's a weird feeling to have, because the documentary tackles everything. There are also some people that were interviewed during this documentary that I've never even heard of before, that I didn't know was in this circle. But then again, I don't know Diddy. So the documentary is The Fall of Diddy. It's on HBO Max. It was done by the people it's done by Maxine Productions and Rolling Stones Films, who also did The Quiet on Set. It's a documentary. It's very heavily biased, but it did tell you a little bit of the psychology of him growing up, realizing that obviously in order for you to do these things, and I'm not making excuses, okay? I don't want this to come off as excuses, but obviously for a person to become that, it had to come from somewhere. People aren't born like that. And they tell the story about him losing his father and how much that affected him, because he never knew his father, always just he was like, I just want to hear his voice. I can't even hear his voice. And his mother was kind of abusive, did spoil the ride, right? That's what his childhood friend says. But he has a long history going all the way back to high school. His best friend says that knew him as kids, said that he's always been abusive towards women, and that this wasn't new. There was documented cases on Howard University. So I just found it interesting, and I found it interesting the emotions that were coming out of me as I'm watching this 5-part series, and I watched all of them yesterday. And it was interesting. I wanted to get your take on, you haven't watched the documentary, but just, I don't know, what the emotions that I'm feeling.
Yeah. No, I have seen some of their episodes. I have not watched all of it, mostly because I didn't think I needed to, honestly, because I believe the victims, and there's just so much evidence, including video. So
I don't. When I say that I was starting to feel like for him, it is not because I don't believe the victims. I absolutely believe every single one of the victims. It also just feels like there are other powerful white men where this doesn't happen to, that I know do these type of things. And so I was looking at it through that lens, and it's just like, this guy needs to be persecuted, but also, God, he's being persecuted.
That's a dangerous game that we as Black people play.
Yeah.
And I wish that we would stop doing that, because what we do by doing that is shift the focus off of people the focus needs to be on. Sean Combs belongs in prison for the things that he's done. And it doesn't matter what other people have done, whether or not they get away with it, this, that, and the third. It doesn't matter. He absolutely deserves everything that's happening to him and more. And so we play that game a lot. Oh, this has been somebody white, or what about this, or what about that? But that doesn't absolve him in any way, shape, or form. And we gotta stop playing that what if game, because like I said, it just shifts focus off of the person that we're really supposed to be focused on.
Yeah, I know I'm a hypocrite because I get on people with the whataboutism, right? You know, you say, well, Trump did this and that. Well, what about when Obama? It's like people are always doing this whataboutism, and I know that I'm doing it right now. I'm not defending him. I'm not defending him, and I'm not consciously. This wasn't a choice that I wanted to have, right? This wasn't an emotion that I wanted to have. It is something that's inside of me that came out, and I'm actively combating it, realizing that, no, look, I'm not going to do the whataboutism. Like, he needs to be in jail. Don't have any sympathy. But then also, there's another part of me that I cannot control that is coming up to say, oh, man, he did have a hard upbringing. That does not condone what he did. Like,
Right.
you get some therapy, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you fix yourself.
There are plenty of people who have a hard upbringing that do not use their power, wealth, and status to harm other people in the ways that he has harmed. We don't know how many people over the decades.
Yeah, we don't
that
know.
he has had power and influence. And also to know that this behavior from him has been present his entire life. Part of it is that this kind of thing thrives in secrecy and in darkness, right? So that's how so many people get away with things like this, because there are enough people complicit in it to be silent. And it allows this kind of thing to grow and bloom. And so they did it. It feels like every time, and feels specific to Black men, that every time there is a persecution, rightfully, of a Black man, there's all these conspiracy theories, right, that come up in our community about, oh, well, Bill Cosby was trying to buy NBC or whatever the hell it is. It doesn't matter. The point is, these people harmed a lot of people, and they deserve to be imprisoned for that. They deserve to be punished for that. Like, we got to stop this. We have to stop this of like, well, this person has done so much for the culture, and I can't stop listening to their music, or listen, this is why this is such a problem in the Black community. This is why it's such a problem in our own families. This is why young Black girls, before they reach 18, will be 100% will be sexually harassed, and a good number of them will be sexually assaulted before they reach 18. And a lot of times it's that uncle that's not really an uncle that everybody knows about and nobody's saying nothing. It's that neighbor or this, that, and this. It's the people you bring around, because we keep protecting perpetrators. We keep protecting predators, and we need to stop doing this. in our community. Stop focusing on what everybody else's community is doing. That ain't got nothing to do with us. We need to start protecting the people in our community. And by doing that, we have to shed light on predators like Diddy.
You know what? I ain't got no arguments. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a YouTube exclusive.
Join the conversation and follow the Unsolicited Perspectives podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your audio podcasts.